Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, November 10th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts as a tool and how they can help you make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple of clarification points. First off, this price you see over here will be moving around and changing. Then the candlesticks will still be moving and changing. That is because the market is still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. But the levels I talk about will still be completely relevant as we head into Thursday. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, NRBO. Very, very nice move today. I realize I state the obvious when you consider that the price was down here and now it's worked its way up to that area. But that does bring about the valid question of, okay, yeah, great move, but is there any sort of true power behind it? And I have no idea, but by using charts, we can make answering that question very straightforward. And that's where this level comes into play here at $1.50. Why is $1.50 important? Well, price movements with genuine power are not going to go straight up. Nothing can go straight up. But the price is going to show signs of progress, which would lead you to say, okay, Clay, what do you mean by a quote-unquote sign of progress? And that's why I love charts, because they allow you to take those phrases and make them very visual. So when I say a quote-unquote sign of progress, I mean $1.50. Because if the price comes down here, bounces around, and then heads back up, what would you still have? Well, you'd have a set of lows there. You'd have lows down there, and you envision those as stair steps, and you would still have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. So no, nothing needs to go straight up, but it does need to show progress. And again, quote unquote progress being defined as $1.50. In terms of levels of resistance, keep an eye on that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. But in my mind, the most important level moving forward here is $1.50. Next one, NIO, and a very, very interesting day now as we head into Thursday, because the price is approaching this key level down here at, let's just call it the $9 mark. And you can see $9 is important for a couple reasons. You can see that it was a low right there before a nice bounce. And then the other reason goes back to the topic we were just talking about in terms of, is the price making progress? And if the price were to come down to 9 and then go back down below it, what would you officially have at that point? You would have the price having gone right back to where it was, meaning that this entire move right here has now officially been wiped away, which clearly is not the sign of any sort of true, genuine power. So that is why $9 is very, very important, because if the price were to drop below there and then start to continue to sink lower and lower, that is putting the price closer and closer to where it was, which is just, a nail in the coffin in terms of, yeah, the bulls have completely lost control. Now I could see, and you might argue, I think, Clay, the bulls have already lost control, and I see where you're coming from, but I'm just saying from more of a big picture point of view in terms of the price literally having gone right back to where it was. But yeah, a lot of downwards pressure, but $9 definitely going to be an important area. Next one, TSLA Tesla, which was just a crazy move today. I did this one previously, so that's where these lines are coming from. But I mean, it was such a crazy day that not only did it break down through this trend line right here, which I talked about, and got continuation. So on that note, yeah, that trend line's been destroyed. This level here is no longer relevant. But it came all the way down here to this next level of support at 182 and broke below that, which serves as our first update. And this played out. And this update is based on a foundational rule. It states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. I mean, you could throw this right into a textbook if you wanted to. Broke that area of support, tried to bounce, and right there you can see got rejected before heading back down. So in the very near term, that newest level of resistance can be right there at $182. In terms of levels of support, nothing fancy or complicated here. Literally just a question of, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at the 178 mark. So keep an eye on 178. If 178 does not hold up, then as you're seeing here, that would be putting the price at literal multi-month lows. But as of now, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves because the price is still starting to go sideways here, and we'll see if that can hold. But any sort of break below 178, or worse yet, the further down below 178 the price goes, that would just symbolize the more momentum and more strength that the bears are gaining. Next one here, Meta, or in other words, Facebook. And overall, good solid day. Now, there's a tad bit of perspective here that goes into it. If you're some sort of day trader and you bought up there and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well, then yeah, from that perspective, the chart's looking rough because the price, has pulled back. And in fact, right now, as I speak, there is this downwards channel that has formed. But what was going on before the downwards channel? Well, you had this big old move up like that, including the gap up. And when you factor that in, well, now what do you have? Well, you have a good old-fashioned bull flag pattern. Now, just because it's a bullish pattern does not mean that the price is for sure going to go up. But I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that, yeah, I get it. This afternoon, there has been a downwards channel, both in the bigger context of things and that big move up, it's all it's done is actually just created a bull flag pattern. So if you like to play bull flag patterns, especially on stocks that are well known, such as Facebook here, definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMC, just a brutal day. A good example of how the markets can sometimes just really toy with your emotions. I mean, check it out. Final 30 minutes yesterday, huge candle, broke through that purple line. Things were looking great. And then just like that, gap down. And then the price just has continued to drop lower and lower. So, I mean, just a nasty move, and that's what brings about the first key update. And there was another level of support here, too, going into the day right here at 517. So going back to that rule that I've already talked about, when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So in the very near term, right there, $5.17 will be that main area of resistance. If the price does come back down, then like Tesla, just a very basic question. Okay, where did the bleeding finally stop today? And that was down there at the 505 mark, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, no doubt about it, brutal move today, especially when you factor in that last 30 minutes from Tuesday. But that's just kind of sometimes how things go. Real quick, wanted to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online training that I'm offering. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to help build consistency in your trading, then I want you to get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, then there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen, then definitely get signed up for the free live training. Next one here, GFI, and I talked about this one previously and didn't really say too much about it just because there wasn't any sort of patterns that had actually formed, but it was one of those situations where, hey, part of a watch list is to find unique, to find interesting situations, and then watch them. And we had that here because on Tuesday, the volume came pouring in, the volume, and the price was acting great, and we got more of that here. So that's why you want to get things alerted, and maybe if you don't have a setup at that exact moment in time, worth at least keeping an eye on. But the difference here is we now officially actually have a setup. So yeah, I get it. Yesterday, didn't have a setup, but now we do. And I mean, now don't get me wrong, there are plenty of setups that you could have played throughout the course of the day. But point here being is this one's a little bit better here in terms of actually looking at a setup to watch. So let me change that to green right there to represent the area of support. And then maybe make this easier to see. Let's just keep it all one color. We have our resistance. We have our support. We have our momentum move like right there. Let's put our golf hole down there for make it a little more visual. We have ourselves a bull pennant pattern. So as I mentioned, just because something's bullish does not mean it'll for sure go up, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price were to come up here and break through the top part of that pattern, that break could in and of itself provide additional buying pressure and create more buying? That is certainly not a guaranteed outcome, but a plausible outcome. So if you like to play bull pennants, here you go. Next one here, MACK, and I like this one here just for some basic reasons, such as very well-defined levels. So I'm not trying to impress you, not trying to imply that me drawing this line is some sort of great skill or special discovery. I assure you a lot of people have taken notice of this area right here at 1275, and I bring that up because when a lot of people are watching the same levels, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So as I've mentioned, nothing is guaranteed, but is it plausible to think that if the price comes up there and breaks through 1275, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a valid outcome, a plausible outcome. In terms of levels of support, you have that nice little trend line right there. So again, I'll get that changed to green to represent more so the support part of the pattern. Like I said, a couple of very well-defined levels, but in my opinion, at least the most interesting dynamic is all about 1275. So let's see if the price can break above it, and if it does that ignite some more buying? Next one here, MULN, and probably should have put this at a different location, but think back to those stocks where I was talking about, well, can the price show signs of progress, right? Is something strong? Well, let's see if it can make progress. And we have an example of, well, a lack of progress here because yesterday talked about 27 cents here on MULN. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the price has crashed down through this level. It's hovering right around that area. But what I'm getting at here is it's certainly flirting with the potential, if it sinks down even really a little bit more further, of putting the price right back to where it was, meaning that this move here in technical jargon would just be considered a dead cat bounce because the price made a great move. Sure, any sort of strength. Well, I mean, if the price continues on down, then the price is officially gone right back to where it was. So MULN, that's going to be the main dynamic right now. The main question mark is it's flirting with this 27 cent area. Can it maintain itself? Can it get a bounce? Which would technically still represent a sign of progress, but any sort of further downwards pressure and downwards movement, like I said, is basically putting it right back to where it began. Next one here, AMZN, and we have ourselves a very interesting dynamic. This will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched past watch list videos, but if you have, then hopefully remember me putting in that green line here on Amazon, previously at $86, and the power of chart. So a quick plug, definitely get signed up for that free training, because check it out. Twice the price came down there and did hold, and now you have some interesting action where the price is at least going sideways. Now, don't get me wrong, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price is at support and going sideways does not mean that for sure, guaranteed, this is the bottom and there's a bounce coming. But is it plausible? Is it rational to think that there could be a bounce coming? Absolutely. So from a risk reward standpoint, you could structure yourself a nice little, trade plan here, because even if it doesn't bounce, given there are no guarantees, then okay, you're taking very minimal risk. But if you do get a bounce, or better yet, a bounce that turns into a full-blown reversal, then relative to what was being risked in the first place, you could be staring at a very, very interesting situation. So that is by far what makes this the most interesting right now. Is 86 was a projected level of support. It did indeed hold as support. You're getting some sideways action. So is this some sort of bottom? Let's see what happens and watch it. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe that the NASDAQ is going to rise in value, then you could buy this, and it just allows you entry at a much lower price point. So in other words, if the NASDAQ has a bad day, then this one's going to go down, and that's exactly what happened here. And it's going back to this whole idea of progress, and now we have a lack of progress, because this level here at 1820 was that area that would have kept it outside of the sideways channel, because there was a sideways channel, and then the price broke above it, which was great. And at that point, it became a question of, okay, can the price at least stay outside of the channel, which would represent progress? Price came down here, did a great job, bounced off the top of the channel, but today came down, and you can see it tried its best. It fought and fought and fought at that green line, but has now gone back inside of the channel. Now, is it a total train wreck? I'm not going to say that. What would be a train wreck? Well, if this thing has, falls back in the channel like it's done, but then goes to visit the bottom of the channel and then breaks through the bottom of the channel, at that point, it's officially a full-blown train wreck. So yeah, today was not great. It's never good when something breaks out of a pattern and then falls back inside of it, but it'd be a little overly dramatic to say, oh, it's game over. Oh, it's terrible. Not yet. But again, if the price goes down there and visits the bottom part, or worse yet, breaks through it, at that point, yeah, bring on the drama. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live online training. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, November 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, do two things for me. Hit that like button, leave a comment below. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Get signed up for that free training. Hit that like button and leave a comment down below.